So I meant to talk about the BLM protests after introductions and everything. I meant to do that last week, but of course we had some technical difficulties and couldn't do the stream last week.
Yes.
But, like, a week later, I'm wondering, like, is it even worth covering anymore? Because, like... Shit. So much has happened, and I don't even know where to start, and everyone has covered it. But,
yeah, well, have there been any protests in your...
Yes. Yes, there have
Where
been...
have they go?
As far as I know, the Toronto protests, or the one, I think there's only been one, has gone pretty well. There were supposed to be 2 protests this last weekend, but they were cancelled because of warnings of hijacking from white supremacist groups. Yes, there were protests also in Montreal, and those got very violent because, as you know, Quebec sucks. I think police brutality became a big problem. I think in the Montreal protests, I think they were. I think there were like tear gas. There was like tear gas used and shit. It wasn't very good.
Wait, in Canada?
Yes. I don't know if you knew. Well, probably not because it's Canadian news. But hold on, this is really pissing me off. Sorry. There have been a couple cases right here in Toronto. One that actually sparked the Toronto protests. It wasn't just George Floyd and the American protests. A woman in the High Park area of Toronto was thrown from a 14th story balcony by police.
I thought Canada was meant to be all nice and stuff.
No, we have a really bad
nice.
We have a really bad history with systemic racism. Granted, it usually comes from it's usually directed towards Native Canadians, like Aboriginal people, but we have we have a history of systemic racism. My favorite example of our history with systemic racism is that Canada used to have Native Canadian schools that were the purpose was stated to take the Indian out of the natives, and I think at least like it might have been thousands of children were reported to have been killed by abuse done at these schools. And you want to take a wild guess when the last school was closed?
Not very long ago.
Yeah, it was like 1995 or something.
That's not very long ago.
No, it wasn't very long ago. So yeah, there's also been police brutality against Native Canadians, and I was gonna get to that as well. But yes, a black woman was thrown from her balcony and killed.
Jesus. That's so horrible.
Yeah, and apparently the police were called to the residence because she was having a mental breakdown and threatening suicide, and was on her balcony threatening to jump. And her family was forced out of the residence by police, and she was then shoved from the balcony.
Did they try to cover it by saying she jumped?
Yes, it's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Later, this did not get nearly as much coverage. I just happened across the story on Twitter where another woman, I think it was in Toronto, but this was a Native Canadian woman, who the police went to her apartment for a wellness check, and she was fatally shot.
What if... Oh my god. Like, that's not even...
Yeah. Now, it was reported that she attacked the officer with a knife. Like with a kitchen knife. My thing is, I would presume that police officers would be trained on non-lethal de-escalation even if you're being attacked.
Yeah.
But no, that's actually not. It's like, shoot to kill if you're an officer, right? Shit fucker. Really? That sweet.
That's so horrible.
Yeah, so we had our protests. I believe you folks did. I'm not sure if it was South Australia, but I think Australia had a couple scheduled protests. Am I right?
Yes, most states did. Adelaide's was, I believe Adelaide's went the best, so South Australia. Because in every other state, or not, maybe not every other state, but I know in other states, the police were like, if you do this protest, we will fine you all. Because it's breaking the coronavirus restrictions. But in South Australia, the police were like, yeah, alright, you guys can protest, we'll give you a blanket exception. And then the police like went to the protests and stuff and made sure it was all peaceful.
That's really weird to me because, as I understood, quarantine in Australia is basically over.
Yes, but there's still like a 20-person limit. And you still have to be 1.5 meters away from each other and everything like that. Yeah, the Adelaide police were like, nah, you do you, Black Lives Matter, protest it.
That's neat, because obviously Ontario has much heavier restrictions, because I think it was compared, well, I compared it actually, South Australia's total cases. You had what, like 450 total cases or something in that ballpark?
Yeah.
Yeah, your total cases are around what we still get every day.
Yeah.
But we still had like massive protests.
That's good though.
Yeah, so obviously the United States is still doing the worst in the world, and they still have their like ridiculous crowds, and of course the right-wing media is trying to call the left hypocrites for protesting during the coronavirus pandemic, and I say, is it really hypocritical? Because this is kind of important. This can't wait. When you have people mobilized like this, you have to do it now.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people's lives are on the line. But that's the thing. What do you know about the history of the protests and everything? Oh, fucking Christ.
What do you mean?
Like, what do you know about the whole situation in the U.S.?
The Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, like like this situation in particular.
Not much. George Floyd got killed for, what was it? He was like suspected of using a fake.
Yeah, he was suspected of using counterfeit money.
Yeah, he got killed for that.
Yep.
While 3 other cops stood there and watched.
Yes.
And no one could do anything because it's illegal to step in. So,
is it illegal to step
that's what they're protesting, isn't it? As well as, like, obviously police brutality.
Yeah, and
they're also trying to get... I've read somewhere that they're trying to get a law passed in George Floyd's name that if there's an unfair, like, that situation, civilians are allowed to step in and be like, hey, look, you're abusing your power.
I didn't hear about that. What I did hear, I don't know if you heard this, it's been all over the news, Minneapolis officially disbanded their police department.
Jesus, I did not know that.
Yeah, no.
What are they going to do without cops, though? I mean, I know that most of their cops are dirty, but what are they going to do without?
Yeah, here's the interesting thing. You know, I've been, pretty left radicalized. So the thing going around is they're going to try and make a primarily community-based, like law enforcement thing. And like right now, all eyes are on Minneapolis to see how they handle it and if it actually goes well. But here's the thing. Now, obviously, it might be different in Australia, and it even will probably vary depending on different Australian police departments. But even here in Toronto, I can name 0 times in my entire life where the police have actually helped me. 0. I had a shooting in my lobby, like a year or 2 ago. I think it was a couple years ago now. Right downstairs from where I live. And the police were there. Did they help at all? No. Like, these people shot a person in my home.
You had a shooting?
Yeah. Yeah, someone got shot in my home. There were, like, I think 2 suspects, 2 assailants, and they've gotten away with it. They were never found, as far as I know. There wasn't even a follow-up. I saw this really nice, what was, of course, a stolen tweet that I saw on Facebook. Ah, fuck, it's doing the thing. That said, oh yeah, like, what, you want to get rid of police? Well, what are you gonna do, well, when you're in trouble, who's gonna come 2 hours later with a pencil and a notepad and never follow up? You ever think about that?
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Like, realistically, what do the police actually do? They're a gang. Like, have you seen some of the what has come of a lot of the protests at this point? Like, some of the clips of, like, the police brutality all over the United States?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, they've been shooting at the press. I think ScoMo wanted to launch an investigation because 2 Australian journalists were assaulted by police in front of the White House.
Really?
Yes.
Jeez.
You know why? You know why the police went a full-scale assault on protesters in front of the White House?
Is it Trump?
Yes. Yes, because he wanted a photo op done. So he wanted all the protesters immediately cleared out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, have you seen, like, the picture around the internet where he's holding a Bible? Upside down?
No.
Yeah, that's part of his photo op. He wanted, so he basically ordered them to just clear it out. Get rid of him. I don't want to hear him. And so he could have a photo op done.
Trump's so gross.
He's fucking fascist. He is a fascist. He had...
I'm waiting for him to get shot.
In Minecraft, obviously. But honestly, I think at this point, if you shot Trump in Minecraft, he would just become a martyr. I think the best thing you could do now is vote him out. Obviously, the replacement won't be that much better.
I don't know what a martyr is.
A martyr is someone who dies for their beliefs. So, best example would be in Christian philosophy, Jesus is the martyr.
Okay.
So when...
And I guess that if he got shot now, he'd be he'd be like another president.
Yeah, he'd
be idolized afterwards.
Exactly. He would, like, when a president dies, especially if they're killed, oh shit, are they ever fondly remembered by history? Because they're martyrized. They become a person who was just trying to do their job, and some radical person went and shot him. I don't think there is a single president who was assassinated that isn't fondly remembered by history, besides maybe William McKinley. So yeah, you just gotta vote him out. Even though Joe Biden isn't good, I wouldn't even say he's not great. He isn't good. He sucks, but he is definitely better than fucking Trump.
Anything is better than Trump.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far, but yes, certainly many things are better than Trump.
Also, if I say, like, stop or go away or something, it's not to you.
Okay.
I don't know, because I've kind of been, like, muttering every now and then, but it's my cat, because he's, like, attacking me.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to say it quite like that if you wanted me to go away, so, it's alright. But yeah, I think, everything that's been going on, how the police haven't, like, you probably saw all the clips of, the police being called by store owners to help with looters, and the store owners end up getting arrested.
I haven't seen that, but that's crazy.
It's happened more than once. And it's usually because the store owners are black. Or they're at least...
Why do American cops suck so much?
Good question. Honestly. But they're and the point has been made that the cops have... And I think this has been a precedent set by courts, that the cops have absolutely no obligation to help people. Their job is not to help the populace. Their job is to uphold the law. Their job is to assist the powerful. And of course, laws are made by the powerful, and, you know, the powerful are bought by the even more powerful, right? So, the cops are a gang, bought and paid for. And I suppose the best thing you could do is break up the gang.
Well, I mean, all the riots and stuff are splitting them.
What do you mean?
Because half of the cops are going, you know, and like pepper spraying and gas bombing and all that crap.
Yeah.
But then the other half are laying down their guns and joining the protest.
It's not even half, but like I respect that.
Okay,
like,
but some of them.
Yeah. I think the best, well, pretty much the only good thing if you're a quote unquote good cop right now is fucking resign, because the system is irreparable at this point.
Yeah, I saw a post in one of the groups I'm in, and it was like, I want to go to a protest, but I risk losing my job over it. And then we went onto his profile, and he was a cop, and we were like, lose your job over it, dude.
Yes, absolutely, because, you know, if you're a cop at this point, you are giving to a system that is killing innocent people and allowing other innocent people to die through inaction. I think at this point, there is no good you can do as a cop, because you are in a position where you have to follow orders that put people in danger, and you either follow those orders or you lose your job. So the job is not good, no matter which way you swing it.
I feel for them though, like the ones who genuinely.
I mean, yeah, like, you don't want to lose your income no matter who you are, but like.
No, it's not even that. It's like some of them became police so they could help people. And
but like you get disillusioned with the system. I mean, I grew like was even like in my when I was turning 20, like I had like conservative sympathies, just because this is the life that you grow up in. This is how you see the world, in this, you know, status quo sort of way. And change, especially radical change, can be scary. And you don't want change like that, but like, and you grow up in that belief that the police are there to help people, the police are there to protect you, and you get disillusioned when you see events like this, and they're just not doing that. The police are enjoying this. The police instigate riots so they have an excuse to go after protesters. And it's been shown, like, they don't go after the rioters. The rioters have been pointed out to them, and they go after the peaceful protesters. Because they need the rioters, they need the looters, because without them, they don't have probable cause.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more conspiratorial than you were expecting, but like this is what I wanted to like talk about. I wanted to be another person echoing this sentiment, that it's at the very least massive reform that is required. You know, you got all these like cops doing like these I don't want to say virtue signaling, but virtue signaling shows of faux solidarity, where they like lay down their weapons and they take a knee for a second, and then it was even shown certain officers would take a knee or hug protesters, and then literally 45 minutes later they were pictured like beating the shit out of protesters.
Really?
Yep.
That's so shit.
Oh fuck.
It just sucks because I can't, like, cops in Australia aren't that bad. Like, yes, we have, like, yes, there are some, like, yes, innocent Indigenous people die in Australia, but as a whole, cops are a lot better here than they are in America.
Yeah.
So I can't really be like I can't really relate as much as Americans can, and I hate it because, like, I want to be like, yeah, cops are pigs, but they're not here. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like you got to be aware of like things that are going on, but I think this has shown that even as an institution, the police is unsustainable, because you're giving way too much power to people who have no accountability.
Yeah.